Welcome to Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland and its largest city. We're going to be eating iconic Icelandic food and, of course, checking out its top sites. If you're new to the channel, my name is John, and I bring you along in all my adventures around the world. I love it if you subscribe or give a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Now let's go explore Reykjavik together. We're starting off our day in Reykjavik with a tasty treat. And of course, there's no better place than Brauð & Company, which is famous for their cinnamon roll. But when you enter, man, you smell the fresh dough and bread. It doesn't seem like you can go wrong with any other option. But you know what? We also purchased a happy marriage cake. And that is an oatmeal-infused jam with rhubarb, and that looks delicious as well. But let's dig in. Very fluffy, warm. I think the right amount of cinnamon. It doesn't have too much icing, but I think that's a good thing. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a sugar overload. We devoured that cinnamon roll really fast. I mean, it definitely lived up to the high remarks that we've read online. It's warm and crispy on the outside, and then inside, really gooey and nice, and I think perfect cinnamon flavor. So definitely it's a must-do. It is time for round 2 for our happy marriage cake. So let's dig in. Cheers. It's very crispy. Still very chewable. I mean, I don't know. It's very good. It has a lot of oatmeal flavor, obviously. With a hint of rhubarb. I still prefer the cinnamon roll, but I think both are good options. I think that's a big question. Do I feel happy in my marriage? Well, I think if I was creating a happy marriage cake, I think I would add more flavors. But you know, if you want something that's bland with a little bit of jam, this is the cake, happy marriage cake for you. Brauð & Company definitely lived up to the hype. And just a couple tips. If you're planning to come early. There is a little bit of line, but it moves very quickly. They have several locations across the city, so we recommend going to whichever one is closest to you. And also, if you're getting multiple items, I think we would start with the happy marriage cake. It has some jam, feels healthy and oaty. But the cinnamon roll definitely takes the golden award, and you can't compare it to something that is warm and gooey. But we're headed to our next stop. Time to warm up with a nice cappuccino from Reykjavík Roasters. Hits the spot, especially on a cold day. Warms up the whole body. We get a little caffeine to boost our morning. Reykjavík Roasters is a great way to grab a coffee that's near Brauð & Co. and right down the street from Hallgrímskirkja. And I have to say, if you want coffee or tea, great place to come. Grab a pastry, and if you can't find any seating, since it's a little bit limited, you can always grab it to go. Cheers. The statue of Leif Erikson was a gift from the US to the Icelandic people to celebrate the 1000th anniversary of the Alphingi, which was the oldest parliament globally, which we saw where it used to be in Thingvellir National Park, but it's absolutely a beautiful statue right outside the church. Hallgrímskirkja is the largest church in Iceland. and it's right at the center of Reykjavik. It's both imposing and very beautiful in design. The church was built between 1945 to 1986. The tower is 73 meters high, so you can get a panoramic view of the whole town. And what's really interesting, it's home to the largest organ in Iceland. One of the best features of the church is the tower. You can purchase your ticket at the gift shop and go up to the tower to get panoramic views of all of Reykjavik, see the ocean, maybe even see Greenland or North America. But we're in line, we're gonna head on up. The elevator takes you to the 8th floor, and then there's a handful of steps that take you right to the bells and the beautiful views. Even when you look out the windows with the clock faces, you get stunning views. An additional bonus, it's a little bit warmer. Now you may be wondering, John, where did this church get its name? Well, it came from the famous poet Hallgrímskirkja, and he wrote the Hymns of the Passion, which was his account of Christ's passion. Fun fact about him is that he met his wife in Copenhagen, and she was one of the Westman Islanders that were kidnapped by pirates. Sounds like a wild life. But the church itself is free. The tower, of course, costs a little bit of a fee. They hold many concerts, so check the website if you're interested in attending a concert. The streets around the church are filled with restaurants, cafes, souvenir shops, you name it, it's here. Now, we recommend if you're driving, parking can be a little bit difficult, but you want to find a spot. That way you can be there the whole day. But it's very accessible by walking. We made it to Reykjavik's famous Rainbow Road. It's to celebrate Reykjavik Pride. It's also a very popular social media photo spot. And it's right down the road from the church, so you can get a great photo of the church as well. This hill is completely filled with ice. Just imagine what I could do with a sled. Right at the edge of the coastline stands Harpa, which really stands out in Old Town Reykjavik because it's ultra modern, a little bit different from the downtown scene. It's home of the Icelandic Opera, Iceland Symphony Orchestra, and the Big Band. And it's just a beautiful sight to see. There's so much to do. And you know what? With the landscape in the background, with the mountains, it's just absolutely stunning. Winter in Iceland can be very harsh, rainy, snowy, overcast, but on days that are sunny and beautiful, you can get great views along the coastline. I mean, just look at this with the mountains. I mean, it's absolutely priceless. We made it to the Sun Voyager, and most people say the sculpture represents or looks like a Viking longship. And I kind of get it. You know, we're in Iceland, home of the Vikings, but that was not the artist's original intention. It was Ode to the Sun, a dream boat representing hope and the promise of undiscovered land. If you looked at any pictures online of Iceland, you probably have seen this photo, and it just looks absolutely beautiful right by the coastline. It is the next day, and the weather has turned significantly. 20 degrees warmer, which is a good thing. However, a little rainy and windy, and when the wind hits you, man, you feel it. But we're going to grab a quick cup of coffee right by Rainbow Road at Mokka. So let's go on in. Mokka is the oldest cafe in Reykjavik, and it's been a hub of activity for artists and writers since it's been around for a long time. But a couple quick facts about it. It was the first cafe to have an espresso machine and the first cafe to serve coffee in an Italian style. So we're really excited to try it out and see if it lives up to the hype. Mokka was established in 1958, and I don't think the decor has really changed that much since that time. And you can even see spots where people have sat and rubbed against the wood, even the seats behind me. So it's really great to feel part of history as you sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee. Art is a huge part of Mokka. In fact, they have artwork hanging on the walls, and they rotate the artwork on a regular basis. Currently, they have Dalmar Helmerson, which his artwork looks really cool. And from what we understand is he did all this artwork as he was battling cancer. But you can see some pamphlets and look at what art exhibits are going to be on display while you're here. We've acquired our lattes. Andrea acquired a waffle with whipped cream and jam. And then for moi, I got a kleina, which is a traditional Icelandic donut. Kind of looks like an American old-fashioned donut, but I'm anxious to try it, so let's dig in. Very airy, doughy, and light. I think it's really good. I definitely recommend it while you're here in Iceland. Now that we've warmed up and had a light breakfast, it's time to explore more of Reykjavik. We're walking along Reykjavík Street, and it is the premier area for shopping, having a bite to eat as well. It's near the Rainbow Road and Hallgrímskirkja. But if you're hungry or looking for a gift, this is the place to be. Let's talk about a little bit of history of this street. Before there were buildings, shops, restaurants, this actually used to be a road that women would carry their laundry to the local hot spring to wash it. So it's just remarkable that when you turn around every corner in Reykjavik, there's a piece of history. If you're hungry in Reykjavik, there's a lot of options, but we recommend Pósthús Food Hall and Bar. They have a handful of food options and, of course, a bar. And normally we would have a bite to eat, but there's one iconic Icelandic food that we want to try. So we're headed that way, but this is also a good option in the city as well. We made it to our next destination, and you may be wondering, John, that food hall looked warm, cozy, beautifully decorated. What gives? Well, hot dogs. Hot dogs are a big staple in Iceland. It's one of the few American influence that has stuck around since World War II. In fact, we haven't really seen that many McDonald's or Starbucks, so hot dogs seem to be the thing. And you see a lot of them in these food stands around the city. We're going to be going to one that started in 1937, Bæjarins Beztu Pylsu. And I'll tell you what, I'm hungry, so let's grab a hot dog. Now you may be wondering what makes a Icelandic hot dog so unique. Well, it's a combination of lamb, beef, and pork. Obviously the lamb, most unique thing about it. The ratios can differ from shop to shop. Typically Icelanders get it with onions and fried onions, ketchup, and mustard. The mustard is different than the American mustard that you may be familiar with. But I'll tell you what, I'm ready to have a bite to eat. It's really good. Definitely tastes different than American hot dog. The mustard is a little bit sweeter than the traditional like yellow mustard that I've had in America. But I think it's really good. It's definitely worth your time to find a hot dog stand in Iceland. and have a treat. These hot dog stands are all over the city and have become famous. This one in particular has had many celebrities visit it, the most prominent being Bill Clinton in 2004. He got his hot dog with just mustard, which is what I got. So now they named the hot dog the Clinton. The best part about grabbing a hot dog is it's always to go, so you can grab it and explore the city. Behind me is Dómkirkjan. It is the cathedral church that was built in the late 1700s and has the current seat of the Bishop of Iceland and home of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Iceland. And it may be small, but it is mighty. But it's absolutely beautiful and one of the top sights to see in Reykjavik. Man, this wind is relentless. This church was placed here deliberately as Reykjavik was meant to be the capital of the country of Iceland. Right next door is Parliament, which we'll see in a minute, but it was placed here right next to the church. That way there was unspoken connection between the laws and the culture of Iceland. I made it. I'm sure the gardens by Parliament are beautiful in spring and summertime, but wintertime, completely covered in ice. So just be careful if you're here in wintertime. Behind me is the building for Parliament. It is home to their main debating chamber. And what started thousands of years ago in Thingvellir National Park has moved to the capital. At our next stop, we're at the Icelandic Street Food, which seems to be pretty famous for their soup. I got their shellfish soup. Andrea got their fisherman's special, which is more like a fish, onion, potatoes. So it's kind of like mixed all together. And what's really cool is after your main dish, you can get their lamb or spicy tomato for free. And they also have free waffles. So it seems like a pretty hopping atmosphere, but I'm ready to dig in. It's really good. Nice warm soup. I think it's like shrimp that's in there. I think it has a lot of taste and flavor to it that just makes it really good to digest. Show us. Oh, mini shrimp. It's delicious, in my opinion. Bread is always served on the side of a good Icelandic soup. I got like a nice fresh dough, great for dipping. Andrew's got like a molassesy rye bread with her dish, but you have the option that you can get a bowl or even a bread bowl. Can't go wrong with either one. Andrew got the fisherman's special, which has Icelandic cod, looks like some pepper, garlic, some other spices thrown in there. I'm a little skeptic about it because it kind of looks like a fishy mashed potato, but let's try it and see if it lives up to the hype. It's very good. Obviously it has a mashed potato type of feel to it. Buttery, very smooth. I would say the cod isn't like overly strong, but if you're looking for a hearty type of meal, this is the way to go. We definitely recommend this establishment. I mean, the food was amazing. Just a little bit of a tip. We recommend going with a regular bowl as you get some bread on the side. The bread bowls, you can take a really cool photo with them, but we've seen a lot of people waste the bowl itself, and you get plenty of bread on the side with the regular bowl. But that would be our tip for having soup here. There is so much to do in and out of Reykjavik. And you may be wondering, John, what's the best way that we can experience it? Well, there are two ways. First, you can do what we did, which was rent a car
gives you a lot of flexibility that you could prioritize like what sites and places you want to go to. The other way is booking a tour. There are so many tours. You have ice caves, glaciers, food tours, national park. I mean, there's a tour for everything. Some could be a single day or multi-day. It's a lot. It can be overwhelming. Now, we did one tour, the Northern Lights. We attempted to see the Northern Lights ourselves, but there was low activity. We were not seeing them. So it was good that we booked a tour because the local guide, he knew the best spots, and they were pretty remote, and we were able to see a few Northern Lights. We didn't film, but we took beautiful pictures, which are hopefully flashing across the screen right now. But those are the ways that you can experience Iceland. Obviously do your research, but find the best way that suits you.
If you ever looked up things to do in Iceland, you probably have seen spas. Iceland is famous for their spas. Blue Lagoon's probably their most famous one, but there's like free geothermal pools that you can find. There's Sky Lagoon. You have many different options. We booked a reservation to Hvammsvík, which is 45 minutes to an hour away. We wanted something a little bit off the beaten path that wasn't as touristy. And when we booked it, we imagined going there during the night, maybe seeing some Northern Lights. But you're probably wondering right now, John, why don't I see pictures or video? Well, we went there in very stormy conditions, the very high winds, rainy. And obviously, since it was so stormy, we didn't see any Northern Lights. We're able to jump between 1 or 2 pools, but the facility itself has a total of 8 different pools, different sizes, different temperatures. Staff super accommodating given the weather conditions. But if you're looking for a spa, you could do Sky Lagoon or Blue Lagoon, or even this one in particular. Any option is really good, and it's definitely worth it, even in hurricane-like winds, but just be careful. There's so much to do in Reykjavik, but one place we want to have a notable mention is the Grata Lighthouse. There's been a lighthouse there since 1897. The current one was from 1947. It's a bird watcher's paradise. They do close it down during the summertime for breeding season. And also it's a great spot that if you want to leave Reykjavik, since it's on the westernmost side of the Reykjavik Peninsula, it's great for seeing the Northern Lights. As we wrap up our experience in Reykjavik, there's a couple tips we want to mention. If you're going to be driving, we used Lotus, which was a great company to use. You also want to make sure you have a safe travel app. That was very helpful to know the road conditions. Parking can also be difficult in downtown Reykjavik. There's different zones, there's different fees. The Parker app is very useful to kind of navigate those waters. Now, like the video, if you enjoyed it, subscribe for future adventures. But until next time, keep on exploring.